What's the best editing process? What was your favorite video you ever made? How many hours a day on average do you spend writing? Would you rather have your books be movies or TV shows? What are you doing to prevent burnout? How do you outline? What is your process for coming up with a title for a book? How do you stay motivated to write, and what are some inspirations? What are the best ways to advertise your self-published book? Do you know what you're writing after the retelling series? Yes. Let's get into all these questions. I'm just gonna start from the top. Really quick, in case you don't know, we recently hit 15,000 subscribers here on YouTube and 10,000 followers over on Instagram, my two favorite platforms. I don't know about you, but those two are the best. Very exciting, and I thought we should celebrate with what I'm calling a 15K Q&A. So the first one is, how many hours do you work a day/week in total? At first I thought this was writing, but there is another one in here. Right here. How many hours a day on average do you spend writing? So these two numbers are very, very different. So I wanted to bring them up at the same time, because how many hours I spend working, I work from pretty much the moment I wake up. I am a bit of a workaholic. I've gotten so passionate about my business that I just work 24/7. No, not really. I sleep most of the time, most days. For work specifically, like all things that I do, which covers a lot of different things, not just writing and editing, but also YouTube and making videos, obviously, and Patreon and making content for them, and side projects. I'm always doing some random things. Like right now, this month, Writerly Care Packages is taking up a lot of my time, and I'm loving it. I've never tracked a full work week, so I don't totally know the answer, but let's just put it this way. Every weekday, Saturdays, and I try not to work Sundays. I do try. I know it's important to rest. I know that. I know it up here, but I don't always put it into action, and sometimes I work way too much. So, oh gosh, at least 10 to 12 hour days, probably more than that. And then less on Saturday, maybe 4 to 8 hours on Saturday, depending on what's going on in our lives. So what is that? 54 to 68 hours a week. Did I do that math right? I don't know. There you go. But of course, for writing, like I said, it's different. So when I write, it's in spurts. There'll be times like the last few months I didn't hardly write at all. That's more rare. I would say, if I'm being super honest, there are a lot of days that I don't write at all. And this particular last, I would say 3 weeks, I've been trying to write every day. You know what? Let me show you my tracker. Okay. This is gonna be fun. Let me show you my writing schedule. So right now, this is what I've been writing. You can see the X's are days that I just didn't write. I would say it's a lot of days that I just didn't write. But this is more than normal for me. This is during crunch time, when I'm trying to put the time in and I'm on usually a deadline of some sort. Right now, this is my deadline to send my work to my critique partner. I also have deadlines to edit for my beta readers, and then for my editor, and then of course for publishing. And so during crunch times, my schedule is gonna look way more writing heavy than normal, versus the 3 and 4 months before this probably had maybe like 10 writing days total. I know I'm taking forever to answer this question, but I just want to be brutally honest with you guys that I tend to put writing last. And when I do that, I don't give it a lot of time, because when something is your last priority, if you've been getting all the other things done and then you do that, you tend to only give it, what, like 30 minutes or an hour or something like that. But when I'm really in crunch mode, again, those times, I typically will find that my best writing time is at night when there's no distractions. So I will sometimes decide to stay up really late, and I will write for a couple hours at night. It's very rare that I would ever spend a full workday on writing. I would say the only times I come even close to that are usually NaNoWriMo, because then when you're on like such a fast drafting schedule, I will make plans, for example, to write a little bit in the morning for 2 hours, write a little bit in the afternoon for a couple more hours, write a little bit at night for 2 more hours, and then write super late at night for a couple more hours. So hours per day spent on writing. To finally answer the question, this question's really hard. I keep answering it and then changing my mind, because The answer changes. It depends on the season, but the majority of the time, 1 to 2 hours max, and a lot of days 0. Just being totally honest with you guys. So yeah. Andrea asks, what is your writing routine? How you handle first drafts? Do you have an editing strategy? You guys are asking really good questions, but it's like, this could be a whole video. I should have a writing routine. I really don't. The closest thing I could say that I have to a writing routine is I do often write late at night, and that tends to be the least distracting time of day for me. First drafts, I try to fast draft. I try to write them as fast as possible because I found that it is more fun that way, and I also give myself so much of a better shot when it comes to editing if I write a really fast, very cohesive, I remember it all kind of draft. As far as an editing strategy, honestly, it changes with each book. So right now, what is my strategy right now? I don't even know. I don't think through things sometimes. Right now, I'm very big picture. There we go, that's my strategy. I like to go big picture, and then line level, and then typos, which, I mean, everybody knows that stage, but starting with the big picture issues, the plot, the character, the world building, usually for me, because I fast draft, I have a lot to fill in and fill out and just add more world building, add more dialogue, and right now add the ending that I still haven't written. I have written like an outline, bullet pointy thing, but it's not really done. It needs a lot of work. If you could give yourself one piece of advice at the beginning of your writing career, what would you say? I would say fail faster. I know it's a cliche. I know that so many people say it, but that's because it's true. Part of every single success ever is failure. And so if you're willing to fail faster, you can get to your success faster. I know it doesn't sound fun. It actually isn't always very fun, but being willing to fail means you also give yourself a chance to succeed at the end. I don't know if that makes sense. What are you doing to prevent burnout? Oh, well, not as much as I should be. Let me put it this way. I know what I should be doing. I'm not doing it well right now. What I think I want to do, I've been hearing this from all different sources all around me, and the more I hear it, the more it's confirmed that it's something I need to take seriously, which is to take time away from social media, because it's not necessarily always because it's bad. There's so many good things about it, and I love social media, but it does take away from the time that you could be using to do other things. And it also, okay, let me see if I can say this succinctly because I'm very wordy, but social media is inviting other people's opinions into your life without intending to, and it's not always a bad thing, but when you get so many opinions and you spend so much time on it, it can be almost an overload. Like I said, they don't have to be bad opinions, but sometimes they are. Like, it's the internet after all. But just the overwhelm, like, I don't think we were built to constantly juggle thousands of other people's opinions all the time. I think sometimes we need to back off and give ourselves a break. I'm not doing this, but what I want to do is to start taking time away from social media on a consistent basis. So maybe 1 day a month or 2 days a month, and at some point, maybe just once a year or a couple times a year, I want to be able to take a full week off and just back off of everything on the phone altogether. And one of the reasons for this is I've been watching this show called The Social Dilemma, I think, on Netflix. I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely go watch it. It is just mind-blowing to me. Some of it shouldn't be mind-blowing, but it just is. Like, for example, the fact that the algorithm is creating an echo chamber for all of us so that it's continuing to feed us more of what we like, which makes sense. That's like, in a lot of ways, it's a very good thing. But because of that, we can start thinking everyone else around us is seeing what I'm seeing, but that's not the case at all. We are all seeing very different things. I'm not describing it super well, but you should definitely go watch that show. What is your process for coming up with a title for a book? The first step for me is to just compile a list of words, tons and tons of words that are from the book, that are symbolic of the book, that might contain a variety of verbs and nouns and so on and so forth. and things that are catchy to me, things that fit the genre, because keep in mind that your title is ultimately also a keyword. The second step would then be to pair these words in different formats and look for one-word formats, look for 2-word and 3-word formats, and occasionally maybe 4 or 5. I don't think I would go too much longer than that. The shorter the title, the more memorable it's going to be, and the more exciting and interesting it's going to be to people. And memorability and keywords are probably the 2 most important things when you're picking a title. Is like, are they going to be able to search it and type it? And are they going to be able to remember it? Those 2 factors are huge. If you can have maybe even a hook kind of built into it that will make the reader ask a question, like for example, I don't know if this is a perfect example, but the stolen kingdom in theory could make a reader ask, why would a kingdom be stolen? Who is stealing it? You know what I mean? And then the third step, once you have a really good list of, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, I don't know how many titles you might come up with, but as many as possible that you like and you would consider, then start going over to like Amazon or maybe Barnes & Noble, but go and Google where they sell books and see if there are any other books with that title. Because technically book titles aren't copyrighted, but if you have another author with the exact same title in the exact same genre, yeah, it's going to be very difficult for your book to show up in search, especially if they sell more books than you. So trying to come up with a title that no one else has, or at least is not in your genre, that would be my recommendation. If you want a video on titles, let me know in the comments, but let's keep going. What are the best ways to advertise your self-published book? You can advertise directly on the vendors themselves. They all have different ways to advertise. If you look at like Amazon, they have AMS, or I think they renamed it, but you get the idea. Or you can advertise through obviously social media, which is the most free way to do it usually. And then a third way that a lot of indie authors use that's very effective is promo and deal sites, where you find different newsletters that they send out to readers to let them know about new books, and usually deals on those new books, like sales. I feel like doing a mix of those 3 things is probably the most effective for me, but I also have a marketing playlist, I'm pretty sure, on this channel. So if you want to go check that out, I will link it below. How do you stay so motivated to write, and what are some inspirations? So I don't always. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I had a 3 or 4 month period where I just couldn't write. Or was it 5 now? I think it was 4 months. And I just did this video right here on writer's block recently that can probably help you and give you some tips, so I will link that below as well. But my top answer to this would honestly be look at your passion. And maybe some things are going on and that's fine, but maybe if you're not passionate about your story or something is fading, that could be why. Ultimately, I think your motivation needs to come from within instead of an outside factor. And it's something you're like making yourself do, I don't know, because someone else wants you to, then I don't know if you'll ever find the motivation to write, because it's got to come from within. I think it comes out of passion. And so same thing, like for a specific story, if you are finding that you're not passionate about the story you're working on, maybe it's not the story that you're meant to write, like right now. Maybe later you'll write it, but right now, maybe you need to find something that is truly calling to you and inspiring and motivating you from within because you're passionate about it. I don't know if that'll be true for you or not, but just throwing that out there. How do you get your books on Amazon to come up on the first page when searching? This could be a whole video topic. Short answer, sales. The more you sell, the more Amazon is going to push your book up on the top. But then that comes back to that question I answered about the title. If you have optimized the SEO, so the search engine optimization, where you're using keywords that people type into the search box for your title, for your about the book, for your categories that you put the book in. If you have made sure that those are all on point, that's going to push your book up on the list. And then also if the title is something that isn't another author's title, just being real with you. Like for example, if there were a bunch of books called The Stolen Kingdom, but I was selling more, my book would be at the top of the list. So that's another reason to really strongly pursue a very original but still catchy and still SEO optimized book title. So it's kind of a balancing act. But again, Amazon is all about selling products. So if you are selling a lot of your product, they will push your book higher up on a page. Do you know already what you're writing after the retelling series, or is it not even on your radar? And someone else asked this too. What is your next writing project or projects once you finish the Stolen Kingdom series? I do have something. I'm keeping it really close. I'm not ready to share. In fact, I don't want to share until I have a full first draft, but I've written roughly, I don't know what it was, 10,000 words. And then that was like 3 months ago. So I haven't touched it. I had to put that book down and come back to the Enchanted Crown because I'm not really able to do multi-books. Like I just can't do multiple books at once. And the Enchanted Crown needs to come first right now. I'm very excited about it. I want it to be the best it can possibly be. So I decided to table this other book idea. I got the first, like I said, 10,000 or so words. So I tabled this other book idea just for now, but I'm keeping a notebook where I jot down ideas as they come to me, because every so often I just think that's a line of dialogue. I want to use that in the story, or that's what I want my character to be like. And I just get these impressions, or like one time I started to picture a scene. I think it's going to be somewhere in the midpoint, almost right around the midpoint, and the fun and games and a little bit of until the bad guys close in. Like I pictured this huge chunk of the book and it felt really real and vivid to me, and it kept coming to life. So I wrote down notes for that. Hopefully I remember them. Eventually I will share more on that, but not yet. Where do your story ideas come from? I have no idea. Can I just be real with you guys? Let me take that back. I do know that they come from my personal experience and from stuff that I'm dealing with, I guess you could say. Like identity and finding your identity without other people's opinions being a part of it. That's been a huge thing in my life. And so I think Ari facing that throughout the series, obviously in a very different way, but still she's probably, I don't know, yeah, some of my journey has probably come through in that. The saying is to write what you know. So I guess that's what it is. When it's more intentional, story ideas come from Googling. Tips for working with an editor for the first time. I will mark this down as a video idea, but for now, I'm trying to like think of just one answer out of the like dozens that I could say. When you get your feedback, read through it and then step back. It's not always going to feel accurate right away. In fact, because it's your baby, you might not like any of it. And it depends on how close you are to your work. You might be fine with it. You might be like, yes, they're right. I see it. They're right. But a lot of authors, especially with their first book, are going to be like, whoa, I do not like that feedback. I don't like it. So don't judge it and don't answer any of the edits right away. Like I would let them sit and kind of simmer, think on them, let them process for at least 1 day, if not 2. It helps to sleep on it for sure. And you will find, or at least I have always found, that after I've processed it a bit, I will find myself agreeing. Most of the time. Probably 95% of the time, I will be like, okay, I see what they're saying. There are some instances, very rare, where I will still feel strongly that they are not right. They just maybe, I didn't get my vision across the way I wanted and they interpreted it another way. That is still a sign that changes may need to be made, but they may not be the changes that the editor suggests. I might need to go, okay, I'm gonna go back to an earlier chapter and rework this so that they understand it when they get here. You know what I mean? So let it simmer. And then when you do come back to it, just know that you don't have to make any of the changes they suggest, but usually they're there for a reason. So try to take them seriously. Hope that helps. How you outline. I really like the Save the Cat Writes a Novel method. This book right here, it has 15 story beats, and it kind of breaks down for you how in some way, shape, or form, almost every book that ever existed follows these beats, these story beats. For example, an opening image and how that grabs you, and the setup of the world. Then there's something called, I think I already mentioned this in this video, but the fun and games and the midpoint. I have become more and more of a pantser, or maybe a better word for it is a discovery writer. I really like that term better than pantser, but I very lightly plot. I very lightly outline, and then I just go for it. So I don't spend a lot of time, and every author is different. So just take that with a grain of salt. Like, you have to figure out what method works for you. And most authors will find out pretty quickly because either outlining will spur them on or it will slow them down. And for me, outlining too much slows me down. So after I get those 15 beats and a sort of sense of the characters and the world they're in, and yeah, just a rough summary of the beats, then I just dive right in. Favorite part of YouTube, Insta, and Patreon. I don't know if this applies to Instagram, but for Patreon and YouTube, getting paid to help people, that's really cool. I don't know if that's wrong to say. I don't know, but you have to do something for a living. And so the fact that I can do this and I can share my journey and help people, super cool. Super cool. I love that. Would you rather have your books be movies or TV shows? So I was reading a few of these out loud to my husband the other night, and he immediately said TV shows. No, movies. Movies. And I was like, why? Why is that? He goes, movies make more money. He's way more business minded than me though, because my first thought was a TV show is longer, so you get more time with those characters. But movies are just so much more big and official. And so I'm gonna say movie because it just feels more monumental and exciting. How long did it take to write your first book from concept to publishing? And I'm gonna add another question that's very similar to this on the screen. Could you do a timeline video, like your journey from your very first joining, social media for this one to now? For both of these, I did this video right here. I think it's a 30-minute video. So I spent a lot of time talking about this, and I shared my journey from writing the book to publishing, but I shared it through my Instagram post, so you'll get to see both. It kind of answers both of those questions. It's a little out of date, but yeah. Maybe I should do an update. Let me know if I should do an update because I don't actually remember what's in that video. If Penny wrote books, what kind of stories would she write? This is another one that I read to my husband and he laughed out loud. He goes, bones, 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 bones. I'm like, yep. It would be a book called That Time When I Got a Bone and Then I Ate the Bone. And then there'd be another book about the time when we played ball. Actually, nope. The number one book she would publish would be Laser, 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 Laser. Penny, do you hear that? She loves her laser. There's another one here about publishing and advertising. So as far as getting your book published, I have this video on where I publish, why, and how. I'll link it below. I'm gonna have a lot of links below for you guys. And then also how you advertise. If I was gonna say a short answer, it would be one step at a time. One thing at a time. Don't try to do it all at once. Just do one thing at a time. Again, I mentioned that marketing playlist earlier that will also be linked below because that's a very big question and I've been talking for a long time, so I'm gonna keep going. What was your favorite video you ever made? Okay, so this is a tie between, I wanna say 2 videos. The first one being how hard is self-publishing? And this was the first time that I branched out from just like a generic sitting here video, kind of like this one. And I was like, how can I make this more interesting? How can I add visuals and sound effects and mix it up and make it more exciting for people so that it's more exciting for me as well? And that was really fun. And that launched this process that I've been on of just trying to make my videos more exciting visually and audioly. Anyway, my second favorite video is right here, how not to write a book, because again, very similar things. It was just really fun to create and I enjoy the creating process. Like I like creating all kinds of things, not just books, but all kinds of things. So that made it really, really fun, but also the fact that it's not like the typical video that you see in Authortube. It's really fun to branch out and try new things. So that was really fun. Can you share some of your editor's comments for those who have never been through the process before? I don't know. Am I allowed to do that? I don't know. I should probably ask my editor's permission for that. But if I was to do a video on how to work with an editor, which if you guys want that, let me know in the comments. I could definitely double check and get permission to do that. So if you guys want that, if you want me to talk more about how to work with an editor, that's coming up for me in December. And of course I did it recently as well. So if you want that, let me know in the comments. Just give me a shout out if you have any video ideas. So I have about 1,001, but I love adding to my list. How does your faith influence your writing and your business? So number one, I need to start paying more attention to myself. I don't know if this isn't like an Enneagram 3 type of thing, but I am just constantly like going, and I don't really stop and take inventory that often and pay attention to how I'm doing things. This is a really good question, and there's this quote that I heard a long time ago now when I was at a music school actually, and they were like, some people, and this is talking about your faith and creating when you have faith, and they said that, and I have no idea who said this, so I don't know who to quote. They said that some people write about the light, as in directly about your faith, and then other people write about what shines in the light. And so it's going to be less direct and more subtle, but it's still there because it's still a part of you. It's going to come through in your writing. And so I personally believe that I write about what's in the light. And so my faith and beliefs are integral to who I am as a person. And so they are going to come through everything that I write, even if I'm not directly, you know, mentioning it every single time. So to come back to the question, it definitely influences my writing because it's part of who I am. And so I firmly believe that what you think about the world is going to come through in your writing, and that's a good thing. It's still gonna come through in the story. And then for how it influences my business, the more I pray about decisions, the more I make wise decisions. Let's be real. How do you market and how do you know when it's working? See, I knew I should have lumped the questions together because this is the third marketing one and they're all really similar. For the first half, I will point you to my marketing playlist and of course what I said at the beginning of this video, but for how you know when it's working, ROI. That stands for return on investment. So if you are making more money in than you are putting out, that is a very good sign. If you're making a lot more money than you are putting out, that's especially good. If you are on the flip side, you know, say spending $100 to make one, just throwing out numbers, that's a weird example, but that would be a very bad ROI, and I would say that the marketing is not working. Pretty sure I have a video on ROI somewhere. I think it's this one. So if you want to watch more about that, I will link it below as well. We only have a couple left. What advice can you give for teens like me who want to start writing books? Love your advice. Go for it. Especially right now, we're about to go into the month of NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm pretty sure you guys all know that, but just in case you didn't, I can link the link to NaNoWriMo below as well, because that would be my advice. That way you'll be writing alongside a ton of other people, including other teens and all ages really, and you can find your tribe, you can find people to be friends with, get motivation and advice, and you know, just be doing this big task alongside a bunch of other people. And so NaNoWriMo is a fantastic way to meet writing friends. So I guess that would be my second piece of advice, and my third piece would be always be learning and willing to learn and read and grow, and you will be fine. You've got this. So it really does help though to find your tribe. So if you guys ever need to find writing friends, I think NaNoWriMo is a fantastic place to meet other writers, and you're also all invited and all welcome to come over to our Patreon group. We have a little writing community over on Patreon where we hang out as well. You know where the link is. Did you have a writing mentor when you first published or no? I did not. And I have never had an official mentor. No, wait, that's not true. A little over a year ago, in I think it was June or July of 2019, I took Sarah Cannon's course, the Publish and Thrive course, and I would say that that course absolutely made her my mentor. But when I first started out, no, I did not. I watched a lot of Authortube. I think this is the last one. What is the best editing process? The one that works for you. No, I mean, yes, but I'll elaborate. For me, it changes. So it really is the one that works for you. But some good processes. One of my favorites is to use the track changes feature on Word. Let me know if you guys would like a video on just how I edit in Word. There's a ton of cool features on there that every time I share a picture on Instagram, people are like, what are you using? And I'm like, it's Word. It's just Word. It's so easy to use if you know. But anyway, what else do I do? Do I even know? Seriously, you guys, I don't pay attention to my writing process. I need to work on this because people ask me questions all the time and I don't know. I don't know. Okay, again, not the best by any means because I don't know if there's ever going to be one right way to write or edit, but some other things that work for me are after I've written the full draft, I like to do an outline again because like I mentioned in somewhere in the beginning of this video, I don't really outline that much at the start. And so it helps me to, I usually get a white poster board and a bunch of sticky notes and I will write a little summary, like a 1-sentence summary of every single chapter. And that way I can look at my book as a whole without, you know, having to swipe or scroll or turn pages. And I can see at a glance, this is what needs to be fixed and what I need to change and do. And then I'm pretty sure I said this earlier, but I start with the big picture stuff. So that's when I would do the outline and, you know, fill in things, find the plot holes, fix the characters, fix the world, fix the ending in my case. And then I would go to the line by line edits, which is when I would usually make a lot of use of that tool on Word where you can add comments. And then I would end with the nitty gritty, you know, typos and grammar and tweaking this sentence and that sentence and so on. I hope that answers your questions, guys. I'm pretty sure I got to them all, so thank you so much for sending them in. These were really fun. I'm just very excited to share more with you hopefully soon about how the Enchanted Crown is going. Wish me luck, and if you do want to pre-order it, of course that link is always below. Thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing. You guys are amazing. I love you, and I hope this has helped you today in some way, shape, or form. If you have any ideas for a video I could do in the future that was sparked by this conversation or from something else you're working on, let me know. I love adding ideas to my list. I have a list about this long right now, but I love making videos for you guys. I love helping you. And so if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know that you liked it as well. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye. Sneeze. Thank you.